When dreams of college are envisioned by parents and students alike, they often picture the intellectual adventure and engaging environment. These dreamers, though, are faced with the reality of the record-high expenses associated with higher education. The tuition is just one factor in the ever-growing list of expenses that no college student can be without. Parents must decide between the benefits of private versus public universities, housing, meal plans, technology purchases, and more. Students must also remember to be responsible with their parents' investment and use their time wisely. There is no good reason to overpay for anything when a little research and guidance can help make the burden of paying for college more manageable. This concept rings true whether you choose to pay out of pocket, compete for scholarships, or take out student loans. This book will serve as your guide for not just a frugal college education but one where a few simple tips can save hundreds if not thousands of dollars. You can purchase new books from the college bookstore, or get the same used book on the internet for up to 75% off sticker price. You can purchase a new laptop computer for $1,800 from your local electronics store, or one on eBay for $1,000 less. You can pay the high fees for residence at a dormitory or share an apartment with friends. The financial benefits of all the latter choices far outweigh the minor sacrifice in comfort. Living on a shoestring budget means to watch your daily spending and making wise financial choices when the time arrives. There is no more excuse for losing out on free money because of a lack of knowledge. This book will be your personal guide. I leave you with the suggestion to absorb the details of this book and innovate with your own ideas to make your college experience a thrifty yet unforgettable one. Alex Fisher, owner of Crown Tutoring, LLC. Alex Fisher is the owner and CEO of Crown Tutoring, LLC, a nationwide in-home tutoring agency. Mr. Fisher is also pursuing his medical degree at the University of Medicine and Dentistry of New Jersey School of Osteopathic Medicine, and he graduated summa cum laude in biology with honors from Georgia State University. He balances his responsibilities as a medical student along with his role as the owner and chief decision-maker at Crown Tutoring, LLC. He began as a tutor throughout college and now employs local teachers to provide superior one-on-one tutoring in all subjects and grade levels throughout the U.S. Table of Contents. Preface. By now, we all know that the cost of getting an education is soaring. College Board, a not-for-profit membership association whose mission is to connect students to college success and opportunities, states in their report Trends in College Pricing 2006. The average rate of tuition at four-year private colleges was about $21,235, four-year public universities average $5,491. And not only that, the costs keep going up, as College Board has also found that most students and their families can expect to pay, on average, from $95 to $1,404 more than last year for this year's tuition and fees, depending on the type of college. These days, getting a college degree is vital to working in many fields, from nursing, to teaching, to engineering, and, even with the hefty price tag, getting an education makes good economic sense. According to a 2007 College Board study, education pays, over a lifetime, the gap in earning potential between a high school diploma and a BA is more than $800,000. You have to figure out how to get the money for college in the first place. Yes, tuition and costs are rising, but there is good news: there is more than $134 billion in financial aid available. There are low-interest loans, grants, scholarships, cooperative education, work-study programs, and more, all designed to help you get that degree. So where do you start? The first thing you should do is apply for all the free college money that you can. Grants and scholarships can help, and their values can range from as low as $500 to assisting with covering the entire cost of college. Yes, the entire 4 years can sometimes be paid in full by a grant. Once the free money sources are exhausted, you should check out student loans. Student loans can provide you with low-interest loans, and you will not have to worry about starting payments until 6 months after you graduate. That gives you plenty of time to find a job in your chosen profession and be in a position to make payments. Even if you are in a position to make loan payments, it is in your best interest to make them as low as possible. Lastly, there are other resources for money, such as home equity loans, private loans, and retirement fund loans, but those should be considered only after you have exercised your other options, and you should seek the advice of a financial advisor before even thinking about it. How to Go to College on a Shoestring, The Insider's Guide to Grants, Scholarships, Cheap Books, Fellowships, and Other Financial Aid Secrets was designed to help you find out what college funds are available to help you pursue your education, and how to get through college as inexpensively as possible from your first day of school until graduation. Chapter by chapter, you can explore what money and opportunities are available and how to apply for and receive the funds for your education, whether you are working on a 2-year degree, a 4-year degree, a master's degree, or even a law degree. Plus, you will gain all sorts of tips and helpful information to stretch the dollars that you do have. By cutting college costs in the first place, you will have that much less to pay back once you finish your education. And once the bills start rolling in, like the mortgage, the car payment, and your insurance, you will be glad you did everything you could to take advantage of college funds that were designed to help students pursue their education more affordably. Table of Contents. While there are a lot of books out there designed to help you cut back on your education costs, How to Go to College on a Shoestring, The Insider's Guide to Grants, Scholarships, Cheap Books, Fellowships, and Other Financial Aid Secrets is one of the more comprehensive books on the market, and one of the most easy to follow. From providing you with the contact information for grants, scholarships, and loans to explaining all the steps you will be taking to win them, this book will guide you through the process of finding money for college from start to finish. Plus, you will pick up some great money-saving tips along the way. How to read this book. There is a wealth of information in this book, so your best bet is to read the book from cover to cover. That is how to get the maximum value out of it. But if you are short on time and attention, you can read the chapters that you are most interested in. For instance, if you are one of the 1 million students who have been homeschooled and you are wondering about how that affects your college application, you will find helpful information in Chapter 1. Although homeschooled students enjoy a reputation as being well prepared for college, and they tend to score better on the SATs and other standardized tests than do regular students, colleges sometimes expect your homeschooling to be well documented, which you can read more about in Chapter 1. If you are wondering about the application process and what kinds of forms you generally need to fill out, and what paperwork you need to provide schools with, Chapter 2 will outline what to expect, from getting your transcripts, to gathering letters of recommendation, to preparing for your interview. Or say you have heard about the free application for federal student aid, the form that schools, government agencies, and many scholarship committees use to generate the student aid report to determine need, which determines how much money you are going to get, but you were not sure how to apply for it, or what documents you need to finish your application. Chapter 3 spells out the process for you. Maybe you have already received a scholarship, but it did not cover enough of your costs. What do you do? Chapters 4 and 5 cover grants and loans that may offer the perfect supplement to your scholarship. Everything is covered in these 2 chapters to help you find the funding that is right for you, from specifics on how to apply for the funding to who is qualified to receive the funds. Perhaps you have always heard about cooperative education, but you were not quite sure what it is. Chapter 6 will explain it, and also give you information on how to pursue it so you can zero in on saving on college costs, while at the same time gaining work experience to help build your resume. If you have attempted to navigate the scholarship jungle, then you must know that it can be complex and daunting. Chapters 7 and 8 concentrate on answering all of your scholarship questions, while providing helpful information on how to pursue scholarship funds. Everything you need is right before your eyes, from writing an effective essay to where to look for those scholarship dollars. Of course, you cannot trust everything you read, and there are scams out there designed to rip you off under the guise of helping you receive college funds. Chapter 9 outlines what to watch out for so you are less likely to be taken advantage of by unscrupulous companies looking to steal your identity or your dollars. You may have received plenty of college funding from student loans, grants, and scholarships, but still you need to keep your spending under control. Chapter 10 is filled with helpful tips and ideas on how to cut personal spending and maybe even save a few dollars along with way. Whether you are a freshman studying political science, a sophomore pursuing a teaching degree, a junior on your way to becoming a marine biologist, or a pre-law student heading for law school, you will find all the information you need to get the money that is available for you to finish your education, and you will find out how you can best put those dollars to work. While the cost of getting an education is soaring, more money is available for students than ever before. Once you finish reading this book, you will know where to find that money and how to go about getting it more effectively. Again, you can zero in on the chapters that apply most to you or dive in and read the entire book. Either way, you will learn plenty. What to do once you finish this book. You can read about getting education funding until you are blue in the face, but it will not do any good unless you take the necessary steps to apply for the money. Getting funds of any sort, from loans to grants to scholarships, takes some effort on your part. You may have to fill out an application, apply for Fafsa, write an essay, or prove that you are financially needy. It may take you hours or days to prepare, depending on what it is you are applying for, but by cutting costs you are essentially paying yourself. Once the student loan payments come rolling in, you will be glad that they are so low, and that you did everything you could to make them as reasonable as possible. Table of Contents. Chapter 1. How am I going to pay for college? Higher education has never been cheap, but costs have skyrocketed in recent years. According to the College Board, tuition increases have outpaced the cost of living for the last 20 years. For the 2006 to 2007 college year, tuition went up more than 6%, while the cost of living rose only 2%. The cost of food, books, housing, transportation, and other expenses has also risen. The good news is that with some research and effort you can bring your college expenses down to a level you can afford, or even have them paid for completely. Once you have the money you need for college, and know how to spend it wisely to stretch every dollar to the max, you are ready. But before all of this can begin, you need to start with the basics. The first question is, which college are you going to attend? It is never too early to start preparing for college. To maximize your scholarship potential, you should not only keep your grades up, but also participate in a variety of extracurricular activities so that when the time comes to fill out applications you will shine. There are also inexpensive ways of knocking out course credits while still in high school. Advanced placement courses, CLEP exams, and completing coursework at a local community college can pay off big by reducing the time you will need to spend at an expensive college. Since your time is limited, you need to weigh these options carefully to ensure that you finish high school with a well-balanced record, and you may be on your way to finishing your freshman year before you even leave home. You also have other things to do. But if you have a goal in mind and work steadily toward it, you will be glad you did. Case study: Phyllis Reardon, Life Coach Phyllis at CoachPhyllis.com for success. As a life coach, I help people discover what they want in life and set goals to achieve success. The following helpful hints have been modified from my goal-setting workshop for parents. Phyllis Reardon, Life Coach. As you prepare to enter college, a new journey in your life, achieving success will be determined by how well you plan. Goal setting. Success in college takes planning, and a big part of planning is setting goals. Goal setting is asking the question, what do I want from college? Once you know your goals, the next step is designing strategies or actions. Success comes when you reach the goals or outcomes you set. Goal-setting activity: writing a term paper. First, create a schedule and break up the work in doable-sized pieces. Display the schedule on your wall, desk, or day planner as a daily visual reminder. Schedule the day of the week and exact time to work on the paper. Make a note of the grade you want to receive. Announce to family or friends when the paper will be complete. Making your goal public can help create motivation for completion as it sets up monitors. There are 168 hours in a week, use them wisely. Goals need strategies, strategies define actions, action leads to success. Did you know that the more clearly defined a picture you have of yourself in the future, the more likely you are to reach it? This picture of yourself could be called your possible self, the person you want to be. But pictures are not enough, goals must be set and actions taken to be successful. Your future view activity. Create a picture of yourself by asking where you want to be in 5 years. What does it look like? What diploma or degree is hanging on your wall? Where are you working? Where are you living? What is your salary? What car are you driving? Now make a list of the necessary action steps to reach this desired self. College knowledge. New experiences like entering college may cause feelings of uncertainty, worry, and even fear. One way to lessen these real concerns is to become informed. Knowledge is power. Increase your power. Correct information always seems to dispel doubts, so research your college. Know what the rules and regulations are, check out your course descriptions and determine what is expected of you, check out parking permits, tuition payments, campus recreation, social clubs. Know how the library system works. Know whom to contact if faced with unforeseen obstacles. Check out advisor, mentor, or buddy programs, help centers, and the student council. Take control, search the web, plan, and increase your college knowledge. Success will happen, but only if you plan. Whose job is this? Getting ready for college, if done right, is really an ongoing process that can last throughout your high school years. The workload increases tremendously your senior year as you begin narrowing choices for schools, start completing application packets, and continue working on financial aid. Who is going to do all of this? Hundreds of choices have to be made, big and small. The biggest are the choice of college and major, but there are countless decisions to be made about the details of financial aid and where you are going to live and how all of this is going to be paid for. These decisions can create lots of stress in families as students try to assert their independence and parents try to retain control and do what they think is best. Your college process can go down in flames if you and your parents are totally at loggerheads about everything from which college to attend to who is responsible for licking the stamps. This needs to be a team effort, with rights and responsibilities on the part of both parties. You need to sit down together early in the process and spell out what each side expects of the other. Open communication is going to be the key to getting through this. The family relationship is changing, and as this process rolls along, parents can watch their child evolve into adulthood. Here are some points to keep in mind to make this step a smoother one. Ultimately, the choice of school and major should rest with you, the student. It is your life, and you are the one who is going to have to live with the consequences. Your parents' job is to offer advice and counsel. However, you have to consider their point of view. You need to remember that your parents have been out in the real world for many years, and they really do know more about making a living and the working world. Plus, if they are helping you pay, they may want to have more of a say in what you choose to study. For instance, they may help pay for a degree in graphic design, but not sculpture. Your parents should help handle the financial aid forms. Parents have the experience and knowledge about finances that you just do not have. However, this is a great opportunity for parents to work together with their kids and teach them about how money works. Some parents might feel uneasy laying bare their financial picture, particularly if they have made some mistakes, like spending their child's college fund on cruises to the Bahamas. But keep in mind that the student is about to go off on his or her own and is more likely to do well if he or she begins to understand how family finances operate. Beginning in the senior year, if not before, you and your parents are going to start accumulating forms and documents for college admissions, scholarships, and financial aid. These responsibilities can be divided. For example, the student should be responsible for admissions and scholarship forms, but parents should assume the role of supervisor and make sure everything is on track and deadlines are met. Even if you win lots of financial aid, there may be unmet costs. Make it clear who is going to pick up the tab, and for what amount. Do your parents expect you to get a part-time job while in school to take care of daily expenses, or are they willing to provide an allowance? Are you going to take care of clothing and automobile expenses? Or are your parents? Who is going to pay for the plane tickets at Thanksgiving and Christmas? Make it clear who is responsible for paying off those college loans that you are more than likely going to have to incur. Since the student is going to benefit from a college education in terms of a higher salary, he or she should be the one to pay off the loan. However, some parents want their child to start out in life debt-free, and they have the means to take on this burden. If this is the case, consider withholding this offer until graduation. It might be sneaky, but if the student feels that he or she has a big financial stake in doing well and landing a good job, the student is likely to work harder and be more responsible about the choices he or she makes in school. Whichever way your family decides to go, make sure everyone knows from the outset who is responsible. By sharing the load, you can keep peace and harmony in your household throughout this process. When the stress level rises, and deadlines are looming, and it all seems overwhelming, everyone should keep in mind that the ultimate goal is to get the student the best possible start in life. It is all going to be worth it. Going it alone. The whole financial aid process assumes that parents are helping you along every step of the way, and that they are going to foot a large portion of the bill. Of course, this is not the case for everyone. Students come from every conceivable family situation, and the aid process just is not equipped to deal with all of them. Some parents refuse to help, some parents are not able to help, and some parents are in jail or hanging out at a Tibetan monastery finding themselves. If you are in one of these situations or something similar, you are obviously on your own, but unfortunately the financial aid process may not see it that way. As far as financial aid is concerned, you can declare yourself to be an independent student if you are at least 24 years old by December 31st of the award year, or you are married as of the date you file for financial aid, you are a military veteran, you are an orphan or ward of the court, or you have a child for whom you provide at least 50% support. The financial aid office at your college also has the authority to declare you an independent student, but you are going to have to demonstrate very unusual circumstances. If your parents are both in jail, hospitalized, or institutionalized, or if they have just plain abandoned you for some reason, be prepared to document this circumstance and produce reliable witnesses on your behalf, such as a clergy member or social worker, if necessary. Being an independent student generally makes you eligible for more aid, since only your income is being counted toward your ability to pay. However, individual schools may have tougher criteria for independence than the federal government, because it is in their interest not to grant this status. Even if you are declared to be an independent student, some colleges require that parents complete the Fafsa anyway. What if your parents have money, are not in jail or a mental institution, but still refuse to contribute one dime toward your college education? This situation is rare, but it does happen. Some parents believe that their children should make their own way in this world, which includes making it through college without any financial support from them. This might build your character, but the bad news is that the financial aid office is going to act as if your parents were contributing, and you are not going to get an extra dime. You are going to have to find other ways to fund your education, just as your parents want you to do. You are already doing the most important thing you need to do to get ready for college, which is learning all you can about the right choices to make. Getting the most out of financial aid opportunities and making the right choices requires arming yourself with information and getting a good plan together. You can change your plan as your needs change, but the important thing is that you keep moving toward your goal of getting the best college education possible as cheaply as possible. There are many sources of information available. College course catalogs contain a wealth of information about potential schools. Pay special attention to costs and financial aid deadline requirements and deadlines. School websites these days contain a wealth of information about academic programs, extracurricular activities, and even campus life. You should know, however, that websites are most often a condensed version of the college's catalog, which has the important details. Websites are fine for narrowing down possible schools, but if you plan to send in an application, it is worth the time to get a catalog and read over it carefully. The internet offers a gateway to loads of helpful information, from SAT prep courses to little-known private scholarship opportunities. The appendix contains a list of helpful sites, and you should glance at all of them. You also need to get organized early on. It might be a good idea to keep a notebook to start jotting down notes about especially helpful information that you might want to review later. Get a calendar to keep track of admissions and scholarship deadlines and important financial aid dates. You do not want to miss financial aid or scholarship opportunities because you turned in an application too late, and soon you are going to be keeping track of 100 things at once. Make sure you keep copies of financial aid forms and applications. If you are applying for numerous scholarships, having copies of work you have already done can save you valuable time and energy, and it can help you keep track of what you have completed so far. Also, there is always the possibility that a valuable form can get lost in the mail, the fax can fail to arrive, or the email disappears into cyberspace. Do not be afraid to pick up the phone and make sure an important application has arrived. These disasters may not happen very often, but this is too important a process to leave to chance. Once you have educated yourself about the opportunities that are out there, start putting a plan together that will help you achieve your goals. Start thinking about scholarship requirements and how you are going to meet them. Also, you should start thinking about the best ways for you to knock out course credits early. Savings plans. Putting money aside for a child's education is a great idea for parents. Many states now have savings plans offering tax benefits that carry on even while a child is attending college. Savings will reduce the amount of financial aid you are going to need, and most importantly, the amount of money that you may have to borrow. There is a tricky relationship, however, between savings and financial aid. A mistaken belief is that savings is going to reduce the amount of aid you can receive, so you are better off spending the money and pinning your hopes on a big aid check. For example, if you and your parents have saved enough to pay for your entire college education, you are not going to receive the amount of aid you would have received if you had no savings at all. However, only a fraction is counted toward the expected family contribution. The financial aid process does not expect parents to put their entire life savings toward a college education for their children. What this means is that you can have enough money in the bank to pay for college, and you will still be eligible for financial aid. You are better off with money in the bank that is earning. It is a bad idea to save money in the student's name. This will have a big impact on the amount of financial aid that you can receive because it is counted among his or her assets, and it is assumed that all of this money can go toward college expenses. Any amount of savings is going to help, but the best and most practical plan is to start early and be consistent. For example, if parents manage to save just $25 every week from the time a child is born until he or she reaches age 17, at 5% interest the balance will be $34,839. If parents start saving when the child is older, they will have to make a bigger contribution to get that kind of payoff, but any amount that can be set aside for the future will pay dividends. There are several ways to save money. You can simply place money in a regular savings account at a bank, but you probably are going to earn a low interest rate, and you will have to pay federal and state income taxes on what you do earn. A better place to stash your college fund is a Section 529 plan. These plans are administered by states, so the rules and regulations vary from state to state. The money that is placed into these plans is tax-deferred, like IRA or 401 contributions, but the bonus is that qualified disbursements are not taxed either. This allows parents to get the most bang for the buck. Even if you do not think you can save very much, putting at least some money into such a plan will have a financial benefit. Another way of paying for college ahead of time is through a Section 529 prepaid tuition plan. The major benefit of this plan is that it allows you or your parents to lock in in-state tuition at public schools at current prices. If you purchase half a year's tuition, it will always be worth half a year's tuition, even 5, 10, or 15 years later. Of course, this plan will only be worthwhile if you actually do attend a public school in your state. But if that is what you want, it can be a great way to avoid steep tuition increases. Like the 529 savings plan, prepaid tuition is now counted as a parental asset, so you can still qualify for financial aid even if all of your tuition is already paid for. If you have been saving for a few years now, you may have a Coverdell educational savings account. These accounts, often called somewhat erroneously education IRAs, were created under the Taxpayer Relief Act of 1997. Anyone, grandparents, friends, and cousins, can contribute up to a total of $2,000 per year to these accounts. These accounts are treated as an asset of the owner for financial aid purposes. In most cases, this will be the parent, but ownership will pass to the student when he or she reaches age 18, unless provisions were made for the parents to retain ownership. Unless that happened, the account will become a student asset and could reduce your aid eligibility. A disadvantage of the Coverdell accounts is that contributions are taxable, although withdrawals for higher education purposes are not. Get a job? Should you get a job while you are still in high school and start socking away money for college? Although this sounds like the American way, and we all admire the student who works his or her way through college, the answer is no. Any income you earn over $3,000 is going to count against you and actually decrease the amount of financial aid you will be eligible to receive. You are much better off spending your time studying, being involved in extracurricular activities, and preparing your plan for college. These things will pay off big in the end by maximizing your financial aid and scholarship opportunities. Looking good on paper. Part of preparing for college is to think about how your record is going to look too. Admissions and scholarship committees. Admissions officers and scholarship committees do not know you. The only things they know about you are what courses you have taken, the grades that you have earned, and the extracurricular activities you have done. Since this is all they have to go on, you need to make yourself look great on paper. You might have the greatest leadership skills in the world, but unless you have actually held leadership positions in clubs or in school government, no one is going to know about it. Similarly, you might be a talented musician, chess player, debater, or you might have a driving passion for community service, but unless you can translate these skills and interests into some tangible accomplishments, your talents will go unnoticed, and your chances for scholarships will be scant. Competition for scholarships is going to be fierce, but if you have everything in place, you can bring home the money. What to keep in mind to look your best on paper. Get copies of documents, awards, certificates, and other paperwork that proves that you completed, or were awarded, what you claim you did. Keep all of your paperwork together in a safe place, as you may need to refer to it again in your search for college funds, and even beyond when applying for work in your field. Get names and contact information of those that can prove that you did what you claim. For instance, if you do volunteer work at a local community center, keep track of where it was, and who your supervisor was. Your supervisor may be able to help later on with a letter of recommendation, or they may be great personal contacts for future needs, such as job hunting. Keep your contacts up to date even if you are no longer involved in a club or organization. It is in your best interest to keep the lines of communication open with those that you may need to contact later. You never know when you may need their assistance, from providing you with work references to putting you in touch with someone that could help you in the future, such as a future employer. Grades. Keeping up your grade point average is an absolute must. It is how you will be compared to others, and it can make or break your scholarship chances. Even a small increase in your grade point average can make a difference of thousands of dollars. There are scholarships that do not consider grades, and we will cover those in a following chapter, but the safe path is to get good grades. Good grades are one of the best investments in your future you can make. Some schools automatically hand out full scholarships to students with a certain GPA and SAT score. Even the schools that do not have full-ride academic scholarships often give a higher percentage of aid and a lower percentage of loans to students with high grades. Schools also give out merit scholarships regardless of need. Keeping your grades up for 4 years of high school requires a commitment on your part, but even if you did not do so well in your freshman and sophomore years, you can still bring your average up if you are willing to work at it. Any increase will be worth the effort. Do not take the easy way out by avoiding challenging courses. It might be easier to make high grades in easy courses, but scholarship committees will take one look at your transcripts and not be impressed. When choosing your high school courses, follow your high school's college preparatory guidelines. Also, look at what the colleges you are interested in require of incoming freshmen. Make sure you have covered all of the bases. If you excel in a particular subject, such as math or history, make the most of it. Take the hardest courses in that subject your school offers and put forth your best effort. SATs. The SAT is the most important test you will take in high school. Every year there are calls for schools to rely less on standardized testing, but the reality is that the SAT is an objective measurement schools can use to compare students from different backgrounds. How well the SAT indicates future success is debatable, but we are all. Scholarship committees also rely heavily on SAT scores because they are a convenient way of comparing students from different backgrounds. Many merit scholarships are based simply on the highest scores, and they do not even consider grade point average. Others combine SAT scores with grades. Either way, the higher your score, the better your chance of winning thousands of dollars. So, an excellent way that you can improve your chances of getting into the college you want and getting it paid for is to make the best possible score on the SAT. If you are willing to invest 4 years of blood, sweat, and tears to keep up a killer GPA, why not invest 6 weeks to improve your SAT? For students whose GPA is somewhat lacking, a high score is the single best way to overcome it. Studies have shown that a test preparation course can increase a student's performance by as much as 100 points. For everyone, this can mean thousands of dollars in aid. It can also mean the difference between winning that big scholarship and being the runner-up. Or, it could mean the difference between getting into a highly selective college and being left out in the cold. Do some research before choosing a preparatory course. Some are expensive, while some are reasonably cheap. A prep course is an investment, so do not choose a particular course simply because it has a lower cost. Some achieve big results, and others can give you a more modest increase. What you want to look for is a big increase, because it could mean thousands of dollars in scholarship money. If you cannot find a course that is offered in your area, there are books available for purchase or in your local library that offer advice and practice tests. It is a good idea to consult these from time to time as the SAT approaches, even if you do take a prep course. The SAT is that important. There are also online sites that can help you prepare for the SAT test. For instance, College Board offers the SAT Preparation Center trademark online that you will find practice questions, practice tests, and other helpful information. If you are still struggling with the SAT exam and worried about how to pass it with the highest score, or perhaps you are not a good test taker, you may want to consider a tutor who can offer you one-on-one assistance with your preparations. Tests are important to pass with as high a score as possible, especially those that are designed for college entrance, such as the SAT and the LSAT, and before every test you take you might want to consider the following. Prepare for the test. Study the materials beforehand. Do not wait until the last minute to do so. Try to relax and get a good night's sleep the night before your test. Read the test directions carefully. Read the questions carefully. If it is a multiple-choice test, look over every possible answer before deciding. Review your responses. Double-check that you have answered all of the questions. Pace yourself. Case study, Crown Tutoring. 590, Lower Landing Road, 87D, Blackwood, New Jersey, 08012. Phone, 825-8522. Fax, 517-9991. www.crowntutoring.com. admin@crowntutoring.com. The higher SAT score you have, the greater chance you will have of receiving scholarship awards from private sources and schools. Plus, the better chance you will have at being accepted into the best schools in the first place. Your SAT scores are the equivalent to all of your years of hard work in high school. They are that important. Not only are SAT scores considered a preview of how a test taker will do in college, they have become a yardstick for measuring life potential. Not necessarily fair, but it is true. You should start studying as early as possible for the SAT by using review books, but if you feel you need extra help, you should by all means enlist the help of an experienced tutor. It is worth every penny, as the payback for getting more financial aid and a higher quality education could be tenfold. For instance, at Crown Tutoring you can receive in-home one-on-one tutoring, so you can learn in the comforts of your home. Experienced tutors are hired to help assist you with the SAT test with everything from learning about testing formats, to following test directions, to working on time management skills and taking shortcuts that will help make standardized tests a breeze, whether it is the SAT, the MCAT, the LSAT, GRE, or GED that you are studying for. Crown Tutoring will also recommend the necessary practice materials and will implement a study regimen, as well as administer practice exams and evaluate the results to make sure you are on your way to passing your SAT with the highest score possible. An ideal college applicant will be well-rounded with extracurricular activities, acts of citizenship, and leadership experiences, along with a solid GPA and high SAT score. Admissions offices look at the whole picture, but the SAT score is part of their evaluation. Of course, the amount that is awarded depends in part on how well the student filled out an application, and how well they wrote an essay, and how much time they invested in searching for financial aid in the first place. So while you certainly need a good SAT score, you need to do the rest of the legwork as well. By working with you to maximize your SAT score, you will have the extra edge you may need to get into the school that is first on your list, and increase your possibilities to receive more grants and scholarships. Ultimately, that will lower how much you will have to pay back. The more well-prepared that you are for the SAT test, and the more comfortable you feel with test taking, the better you will do on this very important test. Activities. Extracurricular activities can be difficult to choose. Many academically gifted students are loners who would rather have their nose buried in a book. Others would rather concentrate on their studies and feel that they do not have enough time to devote to anything else. All that is well and good, but when it comes time to complete admissions and scholarship applications and you are staring at all those blank lines, you are going to wish you had participated. Certainly, schools want motivated students who get the highest grades. But they are also looking for students with leadership or creative abilities, and students who are willing to devote some time to making the world a better place. They want to have a well-rounded student body, with students of all kinds of abilities and talents. There are tons of opportunities, both within your school and out in the community, to get involved in something that interests you. One of the best ways of getting attention is to invent your own project. This shows initiative and leadership, two qualities that colleges are always looking for. Activities as possible? The answer is both, but it might be difficult. You might be interested in only one area, such as sports or writing or photography, or you might be the kind of student that likes to try different things, but not stick with one particular activity very long. You might have a combination of the two. Scholarship committees and admissions officers are going to look at both the range of your activities and the depth of your involvement, so it is better to have a mix to cover all of the bases. Find one activity that you enjoy and go for mastery. If you like chess, join the chess club, take part in tournaments, and become an officer. But also do other things, even if it is a small way. Do not forget to look outside the school as well. Many students make the mistake of thinking that only school-sponsored activities will count, but this is not true. Almost anything you do, from ham radio to a local square dance club, will count, and it will help show who you truly are. If you are interested in healthcare, volunteer at a local hospital or nursing home. You will pick up some useful skills, as well as beef up your applications. Even better, organize a volunteer effort to help at the local nursing home. You will get points for leadership as well as for community service. If your activities are heavily weighted toward one area, do some simple and quick activities to broaden your resume. Your time is limited, and no one can do it all, so look for things you do in the community or school that will show your well-rounded skills. Homeschoolers. What can you do if you do not attend a regular school? The popularity of homeschool has exploded in recent years, and now more than 1 million students, or slightly more than 2% of all students, are homeschooled. In 2000, about half of the nation's colleges had a formal policy on admitting homeschoolers. 4 years later, more than 80% of schools had one. Admissions officials and scholarship committees have become accustomed to making decisions about students with alternative records. Homeschooled students also enjoy a reputation as being well prepared for college, and they tend to score better on the SATs and other standardized tests than do regular students. Admissions officials are well aware of this, but admissions policies vary by state, or even from school to school. At some schools, you need to have all of the usual elements of a successful application. Harvard University, which does accept homeschooled applicants, requires letters of recommendation, SAT scores, a personal essay, and grades from any courses you have taken, which is the same that they would require of any student. The Massachusetts Institute of Technology has a similar policy. Many schools are opening up the admissions process to better measure the alternative education that homeschoolers have received. The University of California at Riverside, for example, has recently adopted a policy that allows homeschooled students to submit a portfolio that details their coursework. Talk to the admissions offices of schools you plan to attend by your junior year. Ask them what documentation they are going to require and what you can do to ensure that you will be accepted. Your school may have a policy in place, or they may be willing to work with you on an alternative application. The responsibility is going to be on you. The big problem you are going to run into is that your mom or dad, or whoever has taught you, has given you grades for courses that only you took. In other words, there is no basis for comparison with other students, which admissions officers need in order to judge your worthiness. To put together a convincing application, you need to think about concrete ways that you can demonstrate your abilities so that they can be compared with others. Keep copies of tests you have taken, essays you have written, and research projects you have completed. This can show that you have learned the same material as public school students. Of course, the most important thing you can do is to score well on the SAT. This is the most solid measurement that admissions and scholarship officials will have to compare you with others. If you can manage a near-perfect score, school officials are not going to care if we're schooled at home, in Kathmandu, or under a rock. You are going to get accepted and get financial aid and scholarships based on the scores alone. You need to make friends with your local school system because they can provide you with help. The guidance counselor can help when preparing for the SATs, finding and filling out scholarship recommendations, applying for financial aid, and completing many other tasks. You should also be able to take part in extracurricular activities like band, the school newspaper, or the academic team if you so desire. Regulations on participation are handled locally, so you will have to do some negotiating. Start with the principal of your nearest high school. If you get no action, go next to the central office of the school system. If they will not budge, do not be afraid to take your case to the school board. Board members are usually elected community members, and they may be more sympathetic to your needs than school administrators may. Plus, they have the power to change the rules. If you do find that you are denied access to school activities, you need to fill the gap yourself. You do have the same opportunity as regular students to exhibit your leadership skills by spearheading community service projects or by finding other ways of demonstrating your leadership ability. Be sure that you can document these activities and the extent of your participation and leadership. Also, you might be involved in an in-depth science or history project as part of your homeschooling. These kinds of academic endeavors can help demonstrate your academic worth in lieu of grades. Keep copies of your schoolwork and projects in the event that you need to state your case in person before an admissions official. Advanced Placement and CLEP. A great way to gain college credit while still in high school is through advanced placement courses or college-level examination program exams. You can combine the two to get maximum punch. Advanced placement classes allow you to earn college credit for high school courses that you would take anyway. For example, instead of taking senior English and getting a course credit, take AP English and get the usual course credit plus the opportunity to earn college credit. The AP designation simply means that at the end of the course you can take a standardized exam for college credit. The College Board administers the AP program and testing. The higher your score, the more credit you earn. At this time, AP exams are offered in 23 different subjects, including biology, environmental science, calculus, music theory, physics, computer science, English, Spanish, government, and studio art. Ask your school counselor about which courses are offered at your school and at what times. The cost of an AP exam is about $70, which is a real bargain compared to the cost of tuition. If your school does not offer the course that you are interested in, there are two ways around this problem. One is to take the course at another school. This may involve some serious time management, but it is doable. Another option is to study for the exam on your own. There are test preparation books available for the AP exams, just as there are for the SAT. Be aware that these courses are designed to be taught at a college level, so they are going to move at a faster pace and cover more material than a regular high school course. In other words, do not try to do everything at once during your senior year. Take a couple of AP courses during your junior year and a couple more your senior year. If you make high scores on the exams, you could be granted a year's worth of college credit, and you have just cut your college costs by 25%. And you have gained high school credit to boot. Many teachers curve the grades so that your grade point average will not suffer just because you are taking a tougher course. If you are not ready to take full advantage of this program, you can at least play to your strengths. If you excel in biology, then you are going to do well in AP biology. Do not pass on AP classes because you think they are only for the best students in your school. What it takes to succeed is effort, not genius. You are going to take these courses in a year or two anyway, so why not take advantage of an opportunity to get a head start? Be aware, however, that not all schools accept AP credit, even though the huge majority of schools do. The ones that do accept AP scores generally will accept up to 1 year's worth of credit. Check with the schools you plan to attend just to make sure. The College Board also runs the CLEP program, but it is much broader in scope than the AP. CLEP tests are for anyone, regardless of ages or educational background. Each exam offers between 3 and 12 college credits, which are accepted by more than 2,000 colleges across the country. Again, check with the schools you plan to apply to about whether or not they will accept these credits. Many schools accept CLEP credits only in certain subjects. Each exam costs $46, which, like the AP exam, is a real bargain. Exams are offered in a much broader range of areas than the AP, including such subjects as accounting, marketing, and human growth and development. Both of these programs are excellent ways to slash your college costs significantly, and they are well worth the effort. Community college courses. Community colleges, and even four-year schools, are reaching out more than ever to non-traditional students. Courses are offered at branch campuses or online, and they are designed for evenings or summer. These are real college courses, so be prepared to devote the time and effort necessary to do a good job and keep up your grades. These will be the cheapest courses you are going to find, but keep in mind that since you are not a full-time student, you are not going to receive much financial aid. Also, keep in mind that time spent working on night or online courses is time spent away from your high school courses or scholarship searches. In other words, do not squander an opportunity to win a big scholarship so that you can knock out a few courses on the cheap. These courses might work better for you in the summer, when you do not have the burdens of your regular schoolwork. Most schools have liberal admissions policies, so you might be able to take a couple of courses between your junior and senior years, and then a couple more between graduation and your first semester at college. Another way that community colleges can save you money is the transfer trick. You can complete your first 2 years at an inexpensive community or junior college, and then transfer to the college of your choice to complete your degree. You can save many thousands of dollars this way, and you will still end up with exactly the same degree. If you are considering going to a community college, keep in mind the following. Make sure that you check into articulation agreements that your community college might have with the four-year college or university that you are interested in. You want to make sure that your credits will transfer to your four-year degree. Even during your first few years of college, you should meet with an academic advisor at your school to help you determine your right course of action. Wrapping it up. Few students can do it all, but every student can at least do something to get prepared for college. The important thing is to set a goal and prepare a plan for reaching it. You can do many things while you are still in high school that will pay off big when it is time to pack for college. For instance, you can work on taking higher-level courses and increasing your grades, you can start your scholarship and grant search early, you can develop a savings plan, you can research potential schools, you can look into community colleges in your area. And you can have a heart-to-heart talk with your parents to see how much they would be willing to help out, even if it means letting you live at home. Planning for college takes time and effort, but you will be glad you did. Table of Contents. Chapter 2. Applications. As you begin your senior year in high school, it is time to start gathering information on colleges you are interested in and begin making choices. There are many reasons to choose a school, from finding one that offers your field of studies, to finding one that offers the most reasonable tuition, to choosing one that is based on the best location. This chapter will help guide you through the process of choosing the right school so that you will be off to a good start in life. Choosing the right college. You are about to make an investment in yourself. A good place to research higher education is a comprehensive guide to colleges, such as the Princeton Review's Complete Guide to Colleges and the College Board's Book of Majors and College Handbook. Also consult some of the rankings guides, such as the annual special issues of U.S. News and World Report magazine. Criteria for choosing a school are: does the school meet your educational needs? For example, if you are interested in the sciences, you should look at colleges that have strong science programs. If you are interested in marine biology, is there a lab to offer you real-world experience? If you want to study foreign languages, do they offer a semester abroad or a similar program? How qualified are the teachers? How comfortable will you be in a particular school environment? For instance, schools sponsored by religious organizations may impose behavioral restrictions, extensive coursework in Bible studies, or mandatory church attendance during the week. A larger school offers anonymity and independence, while smaller schools are like small towns, everyone knows everyone. Large universities have a variety of majors, while smaller schools may offer your specialty. Consider the school's reputation. Graduating from a top-ranked school can open career doors. Corporate recruiters and graduate school committees do take a degree from a prestigious school seriously. Of course, your own performance is going to carry a great deal of weight, no matter what school you attend, but apply to the best schools you can. Will you be employable when you graduate? Check out the job placement record for your chosen major. Do graduates land jobs with the top companies in your field? How many graduates go on to get their master's, doctorates, or law degrees? Are you willing to attend? Worst case scenario, attend for 2 years and transfer. Visit campuses. Before you settle on one school, visit the campus for a couple of days. Since you are going to spend 4 years and make a considerable financial investment, it is a good idea to make sure it is right for you. Your first impression from a lovely website may dissolve when you meet the students, or your bad impression from the school's literature may change when you are on site. Before you arrive, prepare a list of questions that can help you decide if the school is right for you. Your list might include: how much can you expect to pay for rent and utilities for off-campus housing? Are part-time jobs available near campus? What is the availability and cost of public transportation, both off and on campus? What does the campus look like? Is it clean or dirty? New or run down? How large are the classes? What services does the school offer? Job placement? Academic advising? Internships? What is the quality of the teachers? What is their education level? Do assistants teach classes? Wrapping it up. Should you receive financial aid to attend college, it is possible that a private school will turn out to cost the same as a state school. Apply to all schools that you like, and apply to every possible source of financial help. As a precaution, choose a fallback school, one where you are guaranteed admittance. It should also be affordable so that you can attend and get your degree should you get only a small amount of aid. Calculating the real cost. Once you have narrowed your choices down and have some idea of where you are headed, it is time to face the reality of finances. How much is this going to cost you? This is where some careful thought and planning can save you some pain later on. Most people tend to underestimate the cost of college because they fail to include all of the expenses they are going to encounter. Check out the catalogs of colleges you plan to apply to in order to get the basic costs. Tuition, a big upfront cost is, of course, tuition. This is the money the college charges you to attend classes, and it is usually based on a semester or quarter hour, with a discount for full-time students. Remember also that tuition tends to increase about 8% a year, so if you are planning a couple of years in advance, adjust this cost accordingly. Fees, this can be a tricky one. Colleges charge a variety of fees for all kinds of services. If you plan to take many science courses, expect to pay lab fees. Parking fees vary widely. At rural colleges, where lots of parking is available, permits are cheap. However, at urban schools, where space is a premium, you might have to pay as much as $500 per year for the privilege of driving your car. You will also have to pay a health fee, which covers doctor's visits at the school's clinic. Be sure to read over carefully what the health fee does and does not cover. For example, you usually have to pay full price for prescriptions unless you have insurance. Books. College textbooks are notoriously expensive. Costs vary by course, but you can expect to pay $200 to $300 per semester. You are also going to need notebooks, pencils and pens, a calculator, and the usual school supplies. Living expenses. If you choose to live in a dormitory, living expenses are easy to figure. Just be sure to check if the meal plan includes weekends and calculate accordingly. Also, if you plan to stay in the dorms during the summer, there will be an additional charge for this. Living expenses. These expenses can vary according to location. Guidelines might be available from the school you plan to attend, or from organizations such as the Chamber of Commerce of the city where the college is located. In any case, you should include the cost of rent, utilities, phone and internet service, and groceries. You should also include any deposits you will have to pay, including those for utilities, which can be considerable for first-time renters. If you have a roommate, these expenses can be cut in half or more. Computer. These days, a computer is necessary. For the greatest flexibility, you should choose a laptop. You can take it with you to classes, to the library, home with you on the weekends or on breaks, or wherever you need. Most schools offer free computer labs that you can use, but the inconvenience generally is not worth it. When choosing a computer, you should get one with enough memory and speed to get you through 4 years of college. Do not skimp on performance just to save a few dollars, because it may cost you in the long run. Look for a processor with a speed of at least 2 GHz and a hard drive with at least 120 GB of memory. You should also consider the cost of software as well, which is going to vary according to which major you choose to study. Clothes and entertainment. This is where a lot of your disposable income is going to go, but it can be difficult to budget. Ask your parents what they spend on your clothing per year to get some idea of how much you can expect to spend. You are also going to want to have some fun, and fun usually costs money. College towns have many opportunities for you to eat, drink, and be merry, but also many opportunities to leave you broke. Be sure to include some money for the occasional splurge. Insurance. Generally, your parents' health insurance will continue to cover you while you are in school, and if they have a family plan, there is no additional cost to keep you signed up. If you are not covered, you should consider getting your own health insurance. Costs vary, and many colleges offer an affordable plan designed specifically for students. Cell phone. Cable TV. You are probably going to be willing to pay for the convenience of a cell phone. It is actually a luxury, not a necessity, but everyone has become so used to carrying one around that they think they are a necessity. The same goes for cable TV. Chances are, your dorm room is going to have a commons area with a TV, but for most people having their own remote is as necessary as underwear. Household items. Even if you are living in the dorms, you are going to have to consider the essentials of daily life. You can probably bring some of this from home, provided your parents will let you, but be sure to estimate the cost of what you may have to purchase: blankets, sheets, towels, and washcloths. Add all of these figures, and try to think of anything else you might need, or anything else you will be doing that will require extra money. These expenses can add up to a scary total that goes way beyond tuition, which is scary enough. It is better, though, to overestimate what college is going to cost, and to be prepared for it, than to underestimate and find yourself short of funds. If you know what you are going to have to spend, you can better set your financial aid goals. It is important to do this exercise for each school to which you are going to apply. Costs vary widely, and you cannot assume that the price of a dorm room at one school is going to be same as the price at another. Many schools even charge different prices according to which dorm you end up living in. Keep in mind, though, that there are many ways to cut these costs or at least keep them under control. The following chapters are full of tips for finding money and cutting expenses. A good way to feel better about the cost of going to college is to consider the cost of not going to college. One of the practical benefits of education is that it increases your earning power. Considering that you are going to be out in the world earning money for about 4 decades, even a modest difference in annual income can make a huge difference in your life. According to the Census Bureau, in 1999 high school graduates earned $25,900, college graduates earned $45,400, and people with professional degrees earned $99,300. Over a lifetime, a college degree can mean more than $1 million in extra income. In other words, in spite of the high cost of a college education, it remains the best investment you can make in yourself. There are also many professions that require you to have a degree. Even if you end up doing something else with your life than what you studied in college, your degree is going to open doors for you your whole life that would otherwise remain closed. Case study, Candy Lynn Wilson, the Saving Lady, 4322, Botticelli Street, Lake Oswego, Oregon, 97035. www.101waystosavemoney.com. Saving Lady at mysavingplace.com. During my 64 years I have been a starving student, single parent, sole breadwinner, and self-employed, a recipe for a saving train wreck. My father was a hard worker, but his attitude toward money went something like, if you cannot do something first class, do not do it at all. My mother, an extremely frugal-minded woman, was always bailing my father out of financial disasters. Unfortunately, my mother never passed on to me her saving secrets. I was left to discover those by trial and error. I hope I can make a difference in someone's financial future by passing on what I have learned through my website and blog. Following is some general saving advice that will not only get you through college but also the rest of your life. Consider a local community college for your first 2 years of study. You will pay much less for your prerequisite courses. If a community college is not an option, check into in-state or public schools where tuition will be substantially less than a private college or university, and entry requirements will usually be more liberal. School housing is a huge expense, so look at schools in your own community or in a different city or state where you have a friend or relative with whom you can make a living arrangement. You might not think it is cool to live with your parents or old maid aunt during college, but you will come to appreciate the money it saves. Zip up your pride and you could avoid really big student loans. Plan on working part-time to defray costs. This means not loading up on credit hours that leave you no time for anything except study and play. A school workplace schedule will teach you time management and prepare you for a point in the future when part-time work may just bail you out of a temporary financial jam. Learn to take public transportation, ride a bike, or walk. The cost of maintaining a car is a big drain on the pocketbook. If you must have a car, buy a good used one for little money, paying cash so you can minimize the cost of insurance by only carrying liability coverage. Even when you can afford to buy a car, always pay cash and never buy new. Look for used textbooks online at sites like Amazon.com, Textbooks.com, Bookkilobyte.com, or Half.com textbooks. When you are finished with them, go back and resell them online to recoup part or all of your investment. In the future, buying recycled furniture, clothing, household items, etc. is not only frugal but green as well. Public versus private. One of the options you will have to consider when choosing a school is whether to attend a private school or a state-funded college. There are advantages and disadvantages to each. A private school diploma traditionally has carried more prestige than one from a public school. Recruiters and graduate school committees have also traditionally looked more favorably upon private schools. However, as with any degree, there are no guarantees. A fancy pedigree may not help you succeed. Also keep in mind that many state schools have established reputations as good as, or better than, private colleges. The so-called public Ivies are often great bargains, even if you have to pay out-of-state tuition. As always, before you decide on a school just because of its name recognition, do your homework. Consult the college ratings guides and make sure the reality matches the hype. You might find some surprises. What private schools can do for you is offer options or alternative curricula that are not available at public schools. Small private schools are often founded with guiding principles or beliefs that set them apart. Smaller schools have also made themselves more attractive by offering small class sizes, unusual course requirements, or interesting social programs. If you are the kind of person who likes to wander off the beaten track, then a private school somewhere can get you there. The reason students do not consider applying to private schools is that they are more expensive than public schools. Private schools are more affordable than you think. While their tuition costs may be higher, often private schools have more scholarships and grants to offer their students, and once you factor those into the bottom line, you may realize that a private school education may be more affordable. There is also a way to obtain a prestigious private school degree without the expense of paying 4 years of private school tuition. You can earn 2 years of credit at an inexpensive public school, and then transfer to a more expensive dream school to finish your degree. You end up with the same diploma you would have received had you attended all 4 years. Be careful, though, to check out the school's policy on transfers. Most schools limit the number of transfer students they will accept, and require a respectable grade point average as well. There is no guarantee that you are going to get in, but this is an option for those who want the cachet a private school diploma can bring without the cost. What if you choose the public school route, but the school you want to attend is in a different state? Many state schools have established excellent academic reputations that rival the best private schools, so if prestige it at the top of your list of criteria for choosing a school, this might be a worthwhile option for you. An out-of-state public school might also offer a certain program of study that is not available in your state. All of these are good reasons to leave home. Be prepared to pay. Public schools are funded in part by tax dollars, so if you live in a different state you will be expected to pay this portion as additional tuition. Residency requirements vary by state, and most states have toughened up their policies in recent years. Some top-notch out-of-state schools are better bargains than others are. Tuition at the University of Michigan and the University of Vermont, for example, has become as expensive as private school for out-of-state students, at $35,000 a year, but other schools, such as the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, are relatively cheap by comparison. If it truly is your dream to attend an out-of-state school, ask the school's financial aid office about residency requirements as early as you can, in case it might be possible for you to meet them. Some schools allow you to establish residency after you have attended for a certain period, but generally this involves living off campus. You probably will also be required to file a tax return in that state, as well as register your car there. Before all this happens, be prepared to work extra hard to come up with additional funds. Location matters. The type of environment that the school is located in can have a great effect on the cost of your education. Rent tends to be high for schools located in urban areas. Schools that are located in smaller towns tend to have the lowest cost of living. If you plan to live off campus and money is tight, this should be a real consideration in your choice of schools. Location also has a big effect on your transportation costs. If you plan to drive home often, the farther away you are, the more it is going to cost. If the school is too far away to drive, you will probably want to fly home several times a year, which can be costly, especially if the distance is far. If you do not have or want to have to buy a car, you may want to consider what kind of public transportation is available. Check with the city's transportation department to see if buses are readily available and how often they run. You might want to see how often they come and go near your school. A few cities, such as New York, San Francisco, and Chicago, offer the added bonus of being able to take trains and cabs, if you can afford them. Other commuting issues will be presented later in this book. An additional consideration for location is climate. If you are accustomed to the sunny warmth of Florida, a Wisconsin winter is going to be a real shock. If you prefer a mild climate, then you are not going to enjoy the heat and humidity of South Carolina. It seems like a small consideration, but remember, you are going to have to live there for 4 years. Plus, if you do not have the clothing, then that is another consideration. If you live in a warm climate and do not have warm sweaters, jackets, boots, and mittens, that can add up to hundreds of dollars that you have to dole out just to go to college. Living at home? One of the best ways to cut the cost of attending college is to live at home. This option is not for everyone, of course. Some students do not live within commuting distance of a desirable college. Most students, though, simply do not want to live at home. Being on your own is part of the college experience and is one that many students loathe giving up. There definitely are advantages to living on campus or near school. Friendships are easier to make and sustain, and you will feel more a part of the college community. The main advantage to living at home is that your parents are probably footing the bills. You will pay no rent or dorm fees, utilities, or perhaps even food. If you do decide to face the situation and go it on the cheap, there are some hazards to watch out for. Although it may be cheap, living at home and going to school may not necessarily be easy. If your parents are pressed for cash, you may want to consider working out an arrangement with them that you pay rent for living at their house. The rent, no doubt, would still be less than if you were out on your own somewhere else, and you can enjoy the comforts of home while pursuing your education. Commuter blues. Driving to school can be a real burden. Parking is the first problem. Most schools grow faster than their parking lot, which means when school begins in the fall you might find yourself driving onto curbs or parking your car in the street to make it to class, because there are no spaces available. The situation tends to ease in the afternoon and evening, when fewer students are in class. This schedule could take some getting used to, but it will relieve many headaches for you. An additional option is to take the earliest classes, which are also not very popular. This will get you into a parking space before the rush begins at 9 a.m. Keep in mind that commuting to school is not free. First, with the price of gas at an all-time high, the daily drive to campus can get expensive. Estimate the number of miles you are going to drive each week, including weekend trips to the library, and calculate how much fuel is going to cost. Also, keep in mind that commuting is going to add wear and tear to your vehicle. You are going to do this for 4 years, so you are going to need regular maintenance such as oil changes, along with some major expenses such as a new set of tires. You are also going to need a reliable car to begin with. If your car breaks down during finals week, you are going to have to do a lot of explaining to your professors, who are not going to be very sympathetic. With these words of caution in mind, commuting might still be the best option for you. Not everyone lives down the street from their dream school, but most people live within driving distance of at least one college. Online options. A way to avoid the commute to school is to take online courses. The number of internet courses has exploded in recent years. They were originally designed for non-traditional students because students who had full-time jobs and a family needed greater flexibility than on-campus courses could offer. Nowadays, even traditional students are signing on because of that same flexibility. The courses operate in a number of ways. Some courses require at least some contact with the professor in a classroom setting, usually at the beginning of the course. Thereafter, students do most of the work on their own, checking in with the professor and their class through an online chat room setup. Work can be assigned and turned in through the internet. Testing varies. In some cases, exams have to be proctored by an approved person, while other courses require a trip to a real classroom where everyone takes the test together. If you are interested in completing much of your coursework this way, be sure to check out all of the course requirements thoroughly to make sure that you are not going to run into any problems. These should be listed on the course website, and you can always check with the professor to be sure. If you have research projects, you could end up spending so much time driving to the library or the lab that you might as well have taken on-campus courses. Your local public library cannot compete with a college library that caters to students by subscribing to specialized journals and ordering books and other research materials. Also, you need to make sure that you have the motivation to get the work done on time without a great deal of prompting. Some students need the teacher's interaction to learn. Your ability to succeed in an online course may depend on the subject matter. If you usually have trouble with English or math, you may be better off in the classroom. Also, you need to have a place to work free of distractions. Younger brothers and sisters, friends, and even parents can get in the way. A bedroom or an office that is quiet and isolated from all of the things going on in the rest of the house would be ideal. An option that has become available in recent years is to earn an online degree offered by a for-profit college. A for-profit college is a corporation, like the University of Phoenix, that offers accredited degrees just as a non-profit college does. These schools have catered to graduate students in the past, particularly for business degrees, but they are now moving into the undergraduate arena. Of course, check it the same as you would a traditional bricks-and-mortar college. Pay special attention to financial aid to make sure they can offer you aid other than student loans. Find out about their graduation rates and examine which companies actively recruit their graduates. Are they going to offer you the same job placement assistance that traditional schools do? Finally, make sure they are accredited in your major. Just because they are accredited to grant master's degrees in business does not mean that their social work program for undergraduates is also accredited. You are likely to run into the same issues with online universities as you will with online courses offered by a traditional college, only more so. Your online school probably does not have a library, except what they have online. The internet offers an incredible array of online journals and books, but it is still no match for a well-funded college library. Plus, if you are gathering several sources to work with, you are going to have a much easier time if you can lay everything out on the desk and put it all together. Working with multiple websites and writing a paper at the same time is awkward, to say the least. Bricks-and-mortar libraries have one final advantage: well-trained and experienced librarians who can help you. Also, you need to find out how many trips you are going to have to make to the main campus or corporate office. Depending on the school's location, transportation expenses can add up quickly. Frequent flyer miles are great, but not if the cost of airfare puts you out of school entirely. Any way you choose to do it, getting online can be a hassle-free way of getting the coursework done. For commuters, it can make the college experience easier and it can provide some welcome flexibility throughout your college years. Choosing the right college is more complicated than it sounds, but some effort now will pay off big in the end. Once you know where you are headed, and when you have a realistic idea of what it is going to take to get you there, you are ready to get the ball rolling. To make shopping around for your online education easier, several search engines are designed to help you find the best opportunity for you to pursue your degree. Monsters Learning Network includes a source to help you find the right school, whether it is undergraduate, graduate, or law school. According to them, we provide information on prominent, accredited online schools and online degrees. To start your search, visit is an education directory specializing in online degrees, online schools, and distance learning. To start your search, visit Directory of Schools assists students who are seeking online degrees and education via distance learning and campus colleges. The site features 6,765 accredited online degrees and 13,578 campus-based degree programs. To start your search, visit. Of course, there are many more sites that can help you find the right online school. You might want to conduct a search on a few of them. The application process. Once you have decided on which schools to apply to, the next step is to fill out the applications. Usually this is a straightforward process, but it can be time-consuming. Most applications require more or less the same information, so keep a folder on each school and make copies of everything, including admissions essays. This will prevent you from having to repeat your work for each school. Also, pay attention to admissions deadlines. They can vary greatly from school to school. The admissions packets are usually composed of some or all of these elements. The application. For many schools, the application can be completed online, but if you are using the paper version, be sure to use a typewriter. Handwritten applications look sloppy and can be difficult to read. Be sure to fill out the forms completely and answer all of the questions. The transcripts. These will need to be sent from your school. It will be easier to send them all at once, so that you do not overlook anything. You also want to get a copy for yourself, and you should look them over carefully. Mistakes such as incorrect grades and missing courses have been known to occur. To order transcripts, you can contact your schools directly. Some offer order forms online. Other times, you can write to them with a signed request. There is generally a small fee of around $5 per transcript. You can also order transcripts from the National Student Clearinghouse, described as the nation's trusted source for post-secondary and secondary student degree, diploma, and enrollment verification. Contact them at Recommendations. Choose people in authority who know you well, and who you think will not only write a positive essay for you, but will also get it done on time. A great recommendation is not going to do you any good if the admissions office never gets it. Good choices are teachers, administrators, guidance counselors, and ministers. If you have held a job for a while and have done well, talk to your boss about writing one of the letters. Admissions officials are impressed by a good work ethic. The essay. Be honest. Do not pad your achievements. You want to highlight your accomplishments and the talents that you actually possess. What the admissions office is looking for is whether you are going to be a good fit for their school, so keep in mind why you chose to apply to that school in the first place. If you have done your homework and chosen schools that match your needs, this will not be a problem. Finally, have several people read it and offer suggestions for improvement. Your English teacher or guidance counselor would be a good choice. They can catch mistakes and polish your essay so that you look as good as possible. The interview. Most colleges do not require an interview because it just is not practical, but there is a chance that you are going to find yourself in front of an admissions officer at some point. Dress nicely and be prepared to answer the questions honestly and in a straightforward manner. You should already know why you want to attend that particular school and why you would be an asset for them. Prepare a few personal stories that reveal episodes of your life that taught you an important lesson or were growth experiences for you. If the interviewer questions your grades or SAT score, admit your shortcomings and discuss how you are working to overcome them. Wrapping it up. Once the applications are in the mail, an important step toward college has been completed. Hopefully, the process of choosing a school has helped you find out more about yourself and what you want to do in life. As you wait on the acceptance letters, however, you are not going to have time to rest. The next step is financial aid, which will help you pay for the college of your dreams. In the meantime, you could be visiting campuses, looking at your budget to see if you can cut costs, and looking at online options as a possibility for at least some of your classes, instead of waiting for the mail carrier to arrive. Table of Contents. Chapter 3. The Numbers Game. The free application for federal student aid is the most important application you will encounter. Schools, government agencies, and many scholarship committees use the Student Aid Report to determine need, which determines how much money you are going to get. This chapter walks you through this process and offers tactics and tips to maximize your benefits. Understanding how financial aid officers and others determine your need is the best way to ensure that you get all that you deserve. Private colleges may use a different financial aid application called the College Board CSS Financial Aid Profile Application. Some colleges, for example, the University of Pennsylvania, require additional forms that have to be filled out and sent directly to that school. In short, you have to find out for each school that you are applying to exactly what their requirements are for financial aid applications. You are not going to know the exact amount of financial aid you are going to receive until April, but you can get a rough estimate now which might help you in planning. Your financial need is the cost of attendance, minus your expected family contribution, which is the amount that you and your family are expected to pay out of pocket for your education. The goal here is to follow strategies to reduce your EFC to the minimum, which will increase the amount of aid you will be eligible to receive. Here is the good news, your EFC does not increase if the COA increases, so if you choose a more expensive school, you are actually eligible for more aid. Worksheets are available online and these can help you get organized and learn how the process works. What is the Fafsa? The Fafsa is a form that documents important facts about you and your family's financial situation, including income and assets. It is used by college officials to ration aid to the families who need it the most. Essentially, colleges have an allotted amount of money for all of their students, and they dole it out using the Fafsa. Even if you think that you are not going to be eligible for aid, it is wise to apply anyway. There is no objective way to tell if you are going to be turned down, and the amount you receive can depend on many factors. For example, if you have more than one child in college, your chances of winning aid increase considerably. Also, as tuition and the other costs of attending college continue to rise, the number of families eligible for aid also increases. So, if you are not eligible for aid your freshman year, rising costs may make you eligible your junior or senior year. The only way you are going to know is to fill out the forms and complete the process. Families in the upper income brackets, for example over $250,000 a year, can still benefit from the Fafsa. You are not going to get Pell Grants, but you will be eligible for unsubsidized student loans such as the Stafford and Plus loans, which might be a good option for you. You will not be eligible for these loans without a Fafsa. Private scholarships that are based all or in part on the student's financial needs may also use the Fafsa as the basis for their decisions. For this reason, keep careful records and copies of everything connected with your financial aid application. You have to do this for every year you attend college, so the more you know about it, the better you will be able to maximize your financial aid opportunities. Filing tips. You can start on the Fafsa after January 1st of your senior year, and you do not have to wait until your family's taxes are done before you can complete the job. You can even start the Fafsa pre-application process in November to give you a head start. You can. The Fafsa form is available from many sources. You can get the paper version from your high school counselor's office, the financial aid office at any college, the public library, or by calling 1-800-4FED-AID. It might be worthwhile to do a test run while your student is in his sophomore or junior year just to get familiar with the form and see how it is going to end up. Of course, you are not going to be able to tell how much aid you might be eligible for, but you can get some idea of how you might be able to reduce your EFC by the time you have to complete the form for real. An alternative to the paper version is the web version. This method has several advantages over the paper version. Just like filing taxes online, filing your Fafsa online will get you your SAR a few weeks earlier than if you use the paper version. Also, the web version has a built-in error check system. Finally, the web version makes it easier to file a Renewal Fafsa, which you have to do every year.
The web version requires that you get a personal identification number, which is available at www. You can also use the PIN as your electronic signature. Since you can use your PIN for all 4 years that you are going to be filing a Fafsa, be sure to write it down and keep it with your records. When you are ready to start, you need to get your financial documents together. You are going to need, at a minimum, the student's driver's license and social security card. The student's income tax returns for the previous year. If the student is married, you will also need the spouse's returns. The parent's income tax returns for the previous year, the parent's social security number's recent bank statements. Statement relating to stocks, bonds, mutual funds, money market accounts, prepaid tuition plans, Section 529 savings plans, Coverdell education savings accounts, and other investments. Statements showing non-taxable income such as veterans' benefits, Social Security income, or AFC family-owned business and farm records. Deadlines for filing the Fafsa vary by state, so be sure to check with the financial aid departments of the schools you are applying to. The Fafsa website also maintains a list of state deadlines. Most deadlines are around March 1st, but the goal should be to complete the form by February 15th. If your family's taxes are not done by then, you will have to estimate based on end-of-year pay stubs or some other method. This is likely to happen because many firms do not have W-2 seconds ready until the end of January, and you may have to wait even longer on 1099 seconds and other documents you need. If you pay someone to prepare and file your taxes, then you might have a further wait, especially if your taxes are complicated and your preparer is buried in work. File the Fafsa anyway. Even if you are self-employed, you should have a close idea of what you made for the year. You can always make corrections later once your taxes have been filed. An alternative is to file your taxes early and then make any corrections with an amended return, but this could add an additional complication to your life. Just make sure you get the Fafsa done. Filing out the Fafsa is a lot like doing your taxes. If your family has always paid someone to prepare your taxes and never really paid attention to the result, you might have some trouble with the terminology. Follow the instructions and you should be fine. Unless you have really complicated business finances, you should be able to complete the form in a couple of hours. Be sure to answer the questions about your parents' education. If you are a first-generation college student, you might qualify for a state grant. Always answer yes when asked about the different kinds of aid you are interested in, even if you are not. Answering no is not going to get more grant money. You will be asked a question about which federal income tax form you filed, 1040, 1040A, or 1040EZ. What this question is actually asking is which form you are eligible to file, which can make a difference in the amount of aid you will receive. So put 1040A or 1040EZ, unless you had no choice but file the 1040. Do not skip worksheets A, B, and C, which appear at the end of the application. Double-check everything, and, as always, keep a copy. The first one is a hard one. The Renewal Fafsa, which you will complete in subsequent years, mostly involves putting in any changes to your income and expenses. What parents can do. There are several strategies for getting the most money you can from the financial aid process. When you file your taxes, you or your tax preparer looks for deductions and strategies to reduce your tax burden, and you should follow the same strategy on the Fafsa. The rules and regulations apply the same way to everybody, So it is definitely within the realm of fairness for you to follow every avenue the law allows to increase the amount of aid you can receive. A word of caution: do not cheat. The temptation may be great, but the penalties are also great. You could be fined as much as $20,000 and face up to 5 years in prison. Also, keep in mind that colleges are required to verify the Fafsa applications of at least 30% of their students, and many schools verify a much higher percentage. If you are chosen for verification, you will be required to produce the documents that you used to complete the form. The chance of verification is another reason to keep copies of everything. If you feel that a strategy you are considering might be illegal, or it makes you feel uneasy, feel free to talk it over with a financial aid administrator. They have years of experience at this and have seen it all. Their job is to help you, and they can offer sound advice to help you maximize your eligibility. There may not be a single strategy that will automatically get you where you want to be. The best thing to do is to test different strategies against your situation and decide which one or ones are going to give you the best result. The basic idea for maximizing benefits is to reduce income, reduce included assets like savings accounts, and take advantage of the difference between how income and assets of parents and students are computed. If you and your parents have money in savings accounts, the student's money should go toward college expenses first. Student assets are counted at a higher percentage than parents' assets, so when the student's savings have been used up, you will actually be eligible for more aid than if the parents' money were used first. If your parents are planning to use some of their savings to make a major purchase in the next couple of years, make it now. Putting a down payment on a new car, buying a new refrigerator, remodeling the kitchen, or whatever it is that you are going to need in the near future can actually pay off by reducing your savings assets now, rather than in your junior or senior year of college. Spending money to save money sounds crazy, but remember that this is a numbers game, and you have to use the rules to your advantage if you want to win. Many people receive an end-of-year bonus in December. You can ask your boss if you can defer it until after January 1st. That will keep it off this year's books and result in a larger aid package. You will have to declare it on the second year's Fafsa, but the college will have planned to set aside the first year's aid for all 4 years. In other words, you might end up with a larger package for all 4 years instead of just the first. Avoid capital gains. If you have property that you are planning to sell, put it off until after the final Fafsa has been filed away during the student's junior year. Selling property turns an asset into income, which is counted at a higher rate and reduces your aid. Parents divorced? How divorce is going to affect a student's financial aid opportunities depends on several factors. Divorce can also be ugly, and bitterness can creep into the financial aid process. There are cases where one parent has refused to fill out the Fafsa form. If the marriage is in the process of breaking up at the same time that you are trying to get the aid application together, life can get especially tough. Divorce and separation can lead to a variety of complicated family relationships, but the financial aid process focuses on the student and whose house he or she is living in. Custodial parent is the key concept for aid purposes, and it means the parent that the child lives with for more than half of the year. It makes no difference who has legal custody or who is responsible for paying child support. For example, if Jimmy's parents divorced 2 years ago, and he lives with his father, the dad is the custodial parent and they have a family of 2 persons. Only dad's income and assets will be considered, although mom may have to file a Fafsa. If dad remarries, even if it is the day he fills out the Fafsa form, there is now a family of 3 and both dad and his new wife's income and assets will have to be included on the Fafsa, along with any children which the new wife brings to the family. And when those children need financial aid, their new stepfather's income and assets will be considered along with their mom's assets. This scenario is straightforward, but things can get confusing very quickly. Parents are accustomed to thinking of the children who live with them in terms of tax exemptions, which are based not only on where the child lives, but also on who provides their support, or even who was granted the exemption by court order. Financial aid does not work that way. If a stepchild lives in your house, but receives more than 50% of his support from an ex-spouse, you cannot claim that child as a tax exemption, but he or she is part of your household for financial aid purposes. That child's biological parent would have to claim any child support received as untaxed income. What counts is where the child physically spends most of his or her time. Another difference between financial aid rules and IRS rules is that a child can be a tax exemption for only one person, but can be counted as part of more than one household for financial aid purposes. Let us say that Jack and Jill have a son named William. Jack and Jill get divorced, and as part of the agreement William lives with Jill but Jack provides more than 50% of his support. Jack remarries, and his new wife has a daughter the same age as William, and they are both ready for college. Jack gets to claim his new daughter, as well as his son, for whom he is providing support, as part of his household. His new daughter will get more financial aid because Jack will have 2 children in college. When William's mother fills out his Fafsa, she also gets to claim William as part of her household. Even though she does not provide more than 50% of his support, she is the custodial parent. Therefore, William is counted as being in 2 households for aid purposes. The profile. Many private schools require the profile form as a supplement to the Fafsa. Unlike the Fafsa, you have to register for the profile form on the College Board's website and pay a $5 registration fee, as well as an $18 processing fee for every school that you want to send the completed form to. You need to be sure which schools you want to apply to, and whether they require this form, to save yourself some headaches. The profile covers much of the same ground as the Fafsa, but the College Board also maintains a database of questions that are used by individual schools to go gather more detail than the Fafsa. For example, profile filers have to produce 3 years of income information instead of 1, and also have to provide additional information about home ownership. On the positive side, the profile can allow for more expenses than the Fafsa form. When you register and choose the schools that will receive the form, the website automatically brings up these school-specific questions for you and takes care of delivering the answers to the right school. If you are filing the Fafsa, the profile, and perhaps additional school-specific forms, you need to make sure that you have been consistent across the forms. The Student Aid Report. Now that you have sent in all the forms, it is time to relax and wait for a few weeks. It takes 3 to 4 weeks to get your SAR via either regular mail or email, depending on which option you chose. In either case, this is an important document and you should make sure that you keep a copy along with all of the other forms you have accumulated to this point. Check the SAR to make sure that the numbers are accurate and that it has been sent to the correct schools. If you have decided to apply at additional schools, contact the financial aid office at those schools for further instructions. If the schools want you to send them your original copy, be sure to order additional copies for yourself. The SAR will give you 2 important pieces of information. The first is whether you are eligible for the Pell Grant, which is free money the government gives to low-income students. The second piece of information the SAR gives you is your expected family contribution. This is the SAT score of financial aid. Except that in this case, the lower the number, the more aid you are going to get. If your IFC is way out of line with what you can actually pay, you can ask the financial aid office for a professional judgment, which is a review of your IFC going to special circumstances. If you have unusually high medical bills, for example, your financial aid officer may reduce your IFC. An important consideration when going this route is to do it before the student actually commits to the school. The financial aid officer may be more cooperative if more aid will ensure that you attend that school. Be aware, however, that a professional judgment in your favor is not necessarily going to result in more free money. More likely, your offer of loans is going to increase. The offers. The college's financial aid offer usually arrives along with an acceptance letter. The offer will most likely contain a combination of several components: grants, loans, and work-study. The financial aid officer who completes your package goes about it in this manner. First, he will calculate the cost of attendance, taking into consideration whether you are a residential or commuter student. Your IFC is subtracted from this figure, along with any federal or state grants. Scholarships and other outside funding are also subtracted. This need is met with federal loans and federal work-study, which in financial aid terms is referred to as self-help, because it is a contribution over and above the IFC. Colleges try to level out the self-help amounts, because they have the most direct impact on families. When financial aid officers are figuring all of these components for an individual student, they look at eligibility, need, and merit. Eligibility for loans and grants is usually straightforward. Either you meet the criteria or you do not. Need can be more subjective. Colleges have a certain amount of grant money available, and they can choose to give the bulk of it to the more unfortunate students, or they could distribute it among most of the student population. This choice could have a big impact on whether you receive loans or grants, and it is why aid offers can vary greatly from school to school. Merit aid is subjective and reflects the needs and values of the school. The school controls this money, so they can decide if they want to use it to attract students with special abilities in athletics, music, academics, or drama. Some schools have dropped merit aid entirely, and give out money based solely on need. The more selective the school, the less likely they are to hand out merit aid, because they have less need to attract talented students. Financial aid officers take care to address each individual student's needs with all of this in mind. But since schools operate with different goals and values in mind, offers from different schools will vary even though they are working with the same basic raw material. Comparing offers. Make a chart that lists the amounts of aid you are going to receive, then make another chart that compares loan amounts and your own contributions. For instance, it sounds great if a school offers you $20,000 in aid for the year, but it might not be a good deal if you are left with $10,000 in loans to repay and $6,000 to pay out of pocket. Similarly, a school that offers you only $12,000 in aid but leaves you with a smaller amount of loans and money you have to pay yourself is a better deal. What you need to do is make a chart that lists the amounts of aid you are going to receive, then make another chart that compares loan amounts and your own contributions. These are the important numbers at this point. It should be easy to see which school is the best bargain for you, but it might not be the school you choose to attend. You might decide that it is worth the extra cost to attend a more prestigious school, or you may simply be willing to pay more to attend the school that you like better. The choice is ultimately up to you. Before you sign on the dotted line, there is one final step. As we have seen, the financial aid offer is partly the result of a subjective process. That means there is some room for negotiation. Financial aid officers can exercise what is called professional judgment to increase or in some cases radically improve offers of aid. Do not assume, however, that the negotiations are going to work. If the financial aid package from the school you want to attend has made it easily affordable for you, then it is probably a great deal already and you are not going to get any more. The financial aid office knows what other students are getting, and is not going to listen long to whining. If the school you want to attend really has provided an unworkable package, or if you have received radically different packages from similar schools and the school you want is on the bottom side, then it is worth it to negotiate. It is especially worthwhile if the school really wants you because of your high SAT score, grade point average, or special talents. They are going to be less likely to budge if you barely made it in, but they do want to be fair. Parents, do not go into a professional judgment interview and complain about your high credit card debt, the payments on your new boat, or the gambling debts that have left you strapped. There are problems that you created, And financial aid officers who probably do not make as much as you do are not going to have much sympathy. Legitimate circumstances that are not covered by the Fafsa can leave you with an unrealistic aid package. Unusual capital gains, a recent bankruptcy, termination of a child support agreement, unusually high medical expenses, or a drop in income are legitimate reasons to ask for a review of your case. Have a plan ready. If you or your parents are basing your argument on a peculiar financial situation, such as support of an elderly relative or unusually high in reimbursed business expenses, be prepared to document your case. Similarly, if your argument is based on radically different aid packages from similar schools, be prepared to show them the aid letters. They will probably ask to see them anyway. If there has been a drastic change in your life since you filed the aid forms, divorce, job loss, let the financial aid office know about it. If you make a good case and the school wants you, they will make a better offer that could save you thousands of dollars.